Hello to you all. This is just a very quick update on my mushroom growing. You've probably seen my video on how to produce mycelium in rye seed jars. Unfortunately, on checking my jars this morning, all three of my jars actually contain green mould. I don't know if you can pick it, if the camera's picking it up very well. There's quite a large bit there. It's really disappointing because yesterday evening I got really excited because the mycelium was really spreading throughout the jar and it was going really white, and I thought, this is it, we've got takeoff. But then, a few hours later this morning, there's green mould, and all three of them have got green mould. There's not a great deal that you can see in this one. There's not too much in here, but any amount of green mould basically means that it's become contaminated, so it's going to have to be thrown away, and I'm going to have to start again. There's some green mould, I hope you can see in there. As you can see, the mycelium had really begun to spread, and I was hopeful that this was going to work, but this morning there's lots of green mould, so it's all got to be thrown away. So what I will do today is I will take these jars outside, because you don't want to open them up inside, because all the spores from the contamination can get onto your clothes and your hair and your skin, and then when you're making your jars up again, that can recontaminate. So I'll take these jars outside, I'll empty them into the dustbin, bring the jars back in, I'll sterilise the jars by letting them soak in Milton fluid for a couple of hours. And then, just to make sure, I will boil the jars in boiling water for about 90 minutes, just to make sure that it kills off any of the remaining green mould spores. And I will start the process all over again. As you can see, there's green mould there. So yeah, if you're using this technique and you see any amount of green mould, I'm afraid there's no point in hoping that a tiny amount won't affect the rest of the jar, because it will. As soon as there's any tiny amount of green, it will just spread. The one thing that I have been advised, actually I should say at this point, there's a gentleman on YouTube, his channel is Society of Enoch, it's all one word, and I'm following his videos. I've been asking him a lot of questions, and he's been very kind and generous with his time, answering all of my questions. And the one thing that I did ask him is, could the contamination come from the coffee grounds? And he certainly suggested that coffee grounds are more susceptible to the green mould. So what I'm going to do next time is I'm just going to use the rye seed, and also he said a good thing to do would be put a small amount of gypsum in with the rye seed, because gypsum obviously is mineral rich and it will feed the mycelium. Unfortunately, I can't get gypsum in anything other than huge great sort of 25-30 kilogram bags, and I don't need that much. So again, I asked the gentleman, again his channel is Society of Enoch, I asked him what else I could use, and he suggested use a very small amount, about 1/4 of a teaspoon of plaster of Paris, and you mix it in with your rye seed and you pasteurise it in your steamer or your pressure cooker or whatever. So I'm going to do that. I will clean the jars, make up the rye seed grain again, and then add about 1/4 or maybe a little less teaspoon of plaster of Paris, and put the mushrooms in and put the jars back in the airing cupboard, and we'll start the process all again. So I'm very disappointed that this hasn't worked out, but I'm not deterred, because this is the very first time I've attempted this, and as I've said before, we learn from our failures more than our successes. So I'm going to get cracking and start the process again. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoy my videos. Please subscribe to my channel and leave any comments, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye bye.